My facial muscles hurt because I went Pikachu face again. You can go Pikachu face so many times until your muscles actually start hurting. Yeah, another company went broke, and I had to do the face. And I just don't get it, man. Like it's so difficult to understand. And I'll tell you why. I was listening to a TED Talk a couple of weeks ago, and you had a lot of comic book artists there. And one of them was a woman, and she was part of the first women that got hired in the comic book industry. And, well, she absolutely had a different mindset than the women that are hired now. And she said that she looked at comic books. So she did a lot of research after getting the job, because she didn't expect to get hired. But she did a lot of research, and she found out the essence of comic books. What makes a comic book a comic book? Like, without that, it wouldn't be a comic book. And she said that the essence of it is the hero beating up the villain. I mean, there needs to be a struggle between the hero and the villain. So as long as you have Superman beating up Lex Luthor, then that's a comic book. Right? I mean, you can have Lex Luthor robbing a bank, Superman stops him, and that is the essence of a comic book. Now, in order for her to be a better comic book writer, she actually went and did kickboxing. And she did kickboxing because as a woman, she never got into a fight before. And she wanted to experience how it's like to throw a punch, how the object reacts when you're punching it. And she also wanted to feel how it's like to take a punch. So she went into kickboxing in order to improve her comic book writing abilities. And apparently she was very famous. I'm sorry for not remembering the names because I don't remember the names of comic book writers, but you know, like that was the mentality back then, basically. And she was very successful. And it shows that even if you're not a professional at the art, if you manage to get the opportunity and you work really hard and you try to improve, you can make it. And you make money by doing it, because that's why people should go into comic books, to make money. But nowadays, you see things that are completely different. You see people who are placed in positions of power in these companies who don't care about comic books at all, or don't care about anime, or whatever it is they're doing, and they're being handed, they're literally handed a major IP. Like something that has already a lot of fans, something that would get people to watch just because of the title. Like you have almost no work to do there. You just need to make something average, and you're still going to have people coming in. But these individuals, my God, they're so arrogant, and they really don't care. I mean, it's almost like they despise the franchise and they despise the consumers. So they just have like a different vision than what the IP is, and they try to force that vision into it. And when the customer starts complaining, they block the customers. They are some of the most toxic people you can find on Twitter. Like, they share block lists with one another in order to make sure that the customer doesn't have a say. And my question is, like, why would you do that? Like, do you understand how lucky you are for being able to get a job at Netflix, for example, and you can make millions of dollars just by, like, trying to make something average? Like, you can probably make more than millions. You can make hundreds of millions if you make something good. But if you make something average, you just make millions. That's enough. You would think that's enough. But no, they're like some of the most arrogant and some of the most bizarre people. And I think the reason they do it is because they keep failing up. You know, like they manage to get in charge of a project, like Cowboy Bebop. And then they inject their politics into it, and they go against the grain. Because they know that after Cowboy Bebop gets broke, they're just going to go on to a different project. Like, these people fail upwards. And of course, the only people that suffer are the little guys, the ones that are working behind the scene, maybe the actors that finally manage to get a role, and it should jumpstart their career, but they're unfortunate enough in order to get a role into Cowboy Bebop or whatever they're making. And it's sad, you know, back in the day when this would happen, like, for example, in Star Wars, the actor that played Jar Jar Binks, it wasn't because of anything he did, but he just happened to get a bad role and no one wanted to hire him afterwards because people were looking for talent. Now people don't look for talent. People just have, like, the names, like the brand that some of these progressive activists have, like there's a name and a brand attached to them and a Twitter account, and companies are just hiding them because of that. And when the project fails, and when the project is bankrupt, the same people are hired by a different company so they can bankrupt another project. Obviously, this can't go on forever, but egad, it is so annoying to see that failure is being rewarded. And this has to do with the ideology that's popular in America right now, which says that there is no meritocracy, so you shouldn't even attempt meritocracy because it just doesn't exist. So we have failtocracy now. The people who fail the most are the ones that are being promoted and lifted up. And the people who have merit, well, I guess you can go on their social media and see what they said that's offensive 5 years ago so you can get them fired today. And it's just like so depressing because there are just so very few good things that are out there, and these people are ruining franchises. They're absolutely ruining franchises because you can have a franchise, like for example Star Wars, and people go out and they buy lightsabers and they buy t-shirts and they go on forums and they talk about Star Wars. So here come the toxic people, and they create new movies, and they're bringing a lot of toxic people into the fandom, and now the fandom is talking about Trump and immigration and racism and whatnot. So a lot of people just tune out. A lot of the customers just don't want to deal with that shit. And they ruin the franchise. Like, it used to be, a couple of decades ago, if something had the Star Wars logo on it, I would spend money on it. I really like the franchise. Now, if they make another Star Wars movie, I would probably not go to see it. I would not be hyped. It would take for other people to see it and tell me, hey V, this is actually good, you should see it. So I would even consider it. I mean, let me tell you just how upset I am about Terminator. I really, really love the Terminator franchise. And I think it has massive potential. Like, all you need to do, just make a Terminator in the future. Just show that word. Just, you can do it. It can be done. You know, just have the Terminator take place in the future and we watch John Connor fighting against Skynet in the future. But because of the previous Terminator movies, that's not going to happen. That's probably never going to happen anymore. Why? Because they ruined it. Like, the previous movie was so bad that it's unlikely we are ever going to see a new Terminator movie. They ruined the IP. No one wants to touch it anymore. So that's why, you know, like, you get people going, like, oh, just don't watch the movie. You know, it's like, but I do want to watch the movie. That's the problem. I do want to watch a movie, but these people are ruining the franchises so completely that there is no hope we're going to see that movie that I want to watch in the future. Anyway, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.